Welcome in on this lovely Monday, December 15th, as we wrap up week 15 and head into week 16 in the NFL season. So we are here for the waiver wire watch party, here to watch Monday Night Football, which should be a game between the Steelers and Dolphins. We will see what happens as the Dolphins come to play in some cold weather. And we'll also give a little look ahead into week 16, who you're setting those waiver claims for, who you're picking up, who you want for the fantasy football playoffs. We got three of us here. I'll start. I'm Colby Conway. Find me over on X at Colby R. Conway. And then to my right on the screen is Sharlene Ericson. You can follow her on X at Chowbella1981. And then Kyle Zeigler at the bottom there at KZ1180 over on X, the Titans representative here. We can't have everybody liking good teams. So we've had Jorge the past couple weeks with Commanders. Kyle, you've been here as well, but on this show with the teams that we happen to like, we being Sharlene and I, you'll kind of help balance us out and maybe keep our egos in check here heading into week 16. So Sharlene, how have you been? How is everything going for you? How was the first week of fantasy football playoffs?
Definitely a roller coaster ride over here. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess that's what happens when you're in 18 leagues. Mm-hmm. Every week is a roller coaster. Made the playoffs in about 50% of my leagues. Probably just went out of the playoffs in about 50% of those. So, I mean, hey, I'm still riding the playoff wave, so can't complain too much.
Yeah. Yep. Heard that. It's one of those things where I always just like to tell people, you talk to people and they're like, how are your fantasy football teams doing? How are the fantasy football playoffs? And I'm like, I made the playoffs in like 75% of them. You don't need to know if it was, 20 out of whatever that math would be, 24 or however many it is, or if it's 3 out of 4, whatever it might have ended up being. So I am right there with you. And Kyle, other than another loss for the Titans, as you're playing the tankathon, looking for potential draft picks, aside from that, how's everything going for you?
Besides that, we're going great over here. Same as you, Sharlene, roughly about half the leagues, I was looking pretty good in some of the leagues, and I got blown out in some, and then there was one where I lost by less than a half a point, so that one stings. But you got a couple bye weeks still, some other leagues too. So the ones that I thought I was going to lose in the first round, I did. So it's going as expected, I guess.
Fair enough. And you never know, you can get those miracles in week 16 and beyond. And whether it's your seasonal or maybe you have some best ball teams that advance to further rounds in some of those best ball contests on the sites that you play, we definitely wish you luck. And if you are competing for a fantasy football championship, we have some names that we will discuss here, on this show that can help you in week 16 and maybe even beyond. But before we get to that, talk a little week 15 Sunday action. I want to jump right into studs and duds. There's a lot to talk about from this weekend. It felt like a very high scoring slate, if you ask me, in terms of all of the games. Like DFS cash lines felt high. Player props, it seemed like mores were the way to go, or the overs in that regard. So let's go, Kyle. Let's go to you first. Talking about your stud and dud from week 15 thus far.
Yeah, my stud is Mike Evans. It's not that he caught 6 balls for 132 yards. He didn't score, but he had the 12 targets. It's that he did all this on a snap count, coming back from that collarbone injury. After missing 6 games, 7 weeks if you include the bye in between. It's pretty remarkable for Mike Evans. And full disclosure, in every league that I had him in, I had him on the bench. I did, including the Scott Fish Bowl. Had him on the bench, and guess what? It cost me a semifinal appearance because of it. So that really hurts. I didn't expect to see Mike Evans do what he did right out of the gate like that. But you know what? I have no regrets. I wanted to give him one more week before I inserted him into lineups, knowing he was going to be on a snap count, and he ran 26 routes, which was still second most on the team. And the fact that he had 12 targets on those 26 routes is just absolutely nuts. So Mike Evans is definitely my stud for the week. My dud is Breece Hall, 12 carries for 23 yards. That's less than 2 yards per carry. And yeah, it was against Jacksonville. And I get that Jacksonville's dominant, against the run. They're holding opponents to the lowest rushing total in the league, giving up just about 83 yards per game on the ground. But still, 23 yards. I mean, Isaiah Davis didn't have a problem. He had 9 carries for 58 yards in the game. But perhaps next week he can get back on track. He faces the Saints, who allow the 8th most rushing yards per game, so that's good. But probably won't help you get to the fantasy championship once you're there to win it, because then they get New England, which is, well, not very friendly for running backs. So there's that.
Yep, I would agree with that. And yeah, Mike Evans coming back. If you're a Mike Evans owner, if history is going to repeat itself, if you are on a contending team with Mike Evans, you're in a pretty good spot considering he needs like 230 some yards per game or something like that if he wants to get up to 1,000 for what feels like the umpteenth time in his career. So if you're still in it with Mike Evans, you could have some good numbers coming from him. And Sharlene, before I kick it to you for your studs and duds, if you have questions while we're going throughout here, drop them in the chat. Happy to talk and answer any questions that come in. I already see a couple of comments in there. So curious to see what questions come in while we roll through here on the waiver wire watch party. But Mike Evans, Breece Hall, or Kyle, studs and duds. Charlene, who are yours for week 15?
So really quick, Kyle, when I saw you put Mike Evans in there, I thought that meant you actually started him. And I was about to say, good for you for actually throwing him out there, because I did not have the balls to do that. But we all played it. We all played it smart and watched that happen on our benches. But it's fine. That was a great sign. So this week I actually had a few guys to choose from, but I went with Trey McBride because, like a lot of other people, I don't know about you two, I got hit with Kyle Pitts.
Oh, yeah, I did too in a league.
But I also got hit with Bijan.
Oh man.
In the same matchup. And Trey McBride was one of my saviors in that matchup that actually brought it back he had 43 points. So to Kyle Pitts' 50. So, that brought things right back level. So he is definitely my stud for the week. And for my dud, again, I had a lot to choose from. But I went with Isaiah Likely throwing up a big old goose egg after all that talk about how it was such a great matchup and this was actually going to be a great week for Isaiah Likely. And well, the fantasy gods have spoken.
Well, Shirley, I can't. I thought the same thing. I even recommended him to lots of people out there that asked me for start sit questions. He was one of my most popular questions, and I put it out there. I said, this dude's going to smash. How could he not? It's the worst defense in the entire league for tight ends and record-breaking pace at that. And I really thought he would do well. And man, a bagel that really hurt me too with my advice that I gave.
Colby Parkinson on my bench in one league for Isaiah Likely, and let me tell you, I think that one probably hurt the most. That definitely knocked me out of the playoffs in that league.
Since he's been historically bad against tight ends this season. So I had a league, I started Mark Andrews over Dalton Schultz. Not that anyone watching can see our show sheet, but I originally had Mark Andrews as my dud for the week. And then I scrolled down and saw Sharlene had put Isaiah Likely. And I was like, is this overkill for Baltimore tight ends? And I took him out. And now that I think about it, it's not. With how bad literally every tight end has had success against Cincinnati. You could have took a lineman, lined them up at tight end, and they probably would have scored.
Right.
But of course, this week Andrews was a non-factor. Likely was a non-factor. That killed so much.
I didn't take my own advice, which has been just stay away from Baltimore players. It has been a nightmare. You can't trust Lamar. You can't trust any of the wide receivers because who knows what's going to happen if Lamar's not himself. I should have just taken my own advice and not gone with they're playing Cincinnati. So
yeah, Shirley, you can tell with Lamar Jackson that he's not himself. He is playing through. He's just not as fast as he normally is. So yeah.
Yeah, design runs are down for him too, and that's they're basically trying to keep him out of harm's way. So when he's running, it's all on his accord based on what he's seeing or if he's pressured in to running. But yeah, something is up with him. Yet they're still in the thick of the playoff hunt and a division crown there, depending on potentially what happens tonight. So my stud done, I'm going to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Just continues to be great despite some offensive questions that are happening there in Detroit. And then my dud for the week is Justin Jefferson. He just cannot. It's just not going to happen with JJ McCarthy. And I'm going to say this in jest, like a lot of jest, that I'm more confident that Mike Evans gets to 1,000 yards than Justin Jefferson gets to 1,000 yards for them to keep their streaks. And Jefferson only needs like 130 over the next 3 games, whereas Mike Evans needs like 200 plus in each of the next 3 games. And I'm almost more confident in Mike Evans than Justin Jefferson. Again, /S or whatever the kids do for like sarcasm or whatever, but I do mean it a little bit. There's some truth in jest. So.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree with you. I mean, they're both probably not going to hit it anyway, but yeah, if you had to give the nod, it's probably Mike Evans, just because you never know. He could go for 250 and we're right back in it.
Yeah. And I mean, we saw last year a little bit of a different circumstance, but they force fed it to him. I think they're a little too far away to rationally. I believe they're too far away to really make it happen. But last year, I mean, you saw when it got to it, they were forcing it to him because they knew they wanted to get him that. I don't think it's going to happen. And then if Justin Jefferson can't get there either, I will give him credit to the point that he is handling it better than I think many other players at his position of his caliber would be handling some situation like this. Now, all that to be said, if you ask me if he's a Minnesota Viking on week 1 of next season, we can talk about that. But I think there's some teams that'll come poking around there in the offseason. But Sharlene, you had mentioned some big fantasy swings from Sunday. If you got burned by Kyle Pitts, came back with Trey McBride, maybe you're like me and started at Mark Andrews over the likes of Dalton Schultz. There is still some Monday night miracles to happen. Obviously, Jalen Warren came down with an illness. He was activated to play, but everyone who had Kenny Gainwell is probably super excited. And if you're playing someone who has Kenny Gainwell, you're probably a little upset that this little bug is going around. So a lot of things can still happen. We still have some Monday night action here to go, but some injuries that impacted some teams here in week 15. We saw almost every Arizona Cardinals running back leave this game. So that could potentially open up the door for a waiver wire pick we'll talk about. We have the Devontae Adams injury. He came out as week to week. So here's a hashtag bold take. He's not going to play Thursday night. So it's going to be Puka is going to be the one-man show there with Tutu Atwell, Jordan Whittington stepping up for him. And then Micah Parsons, torn ACL. And then, of course, Nate Markham won't want to hear this, so we'll redact this in post. But Patrick Mahomes, torn ACL, out for the season. So those are kind of some of the big injuries that I'm thinking of off the top of my head here. Any other injuries of note from week 15 that y'all can think of other than those? I think those are the high-level ones.
Did you mention Devin Neal?
I did not, and that is a high-profile one considering we talked about him a couple of weeks ago. He was a waiver wire darling, and he now has a hamstring issue, and who knows about Kamara. So, yeah, that New Orleans backfield went from lackluster to underwhelming to oh man times 3. That is, I think, where we're at right now. That's gross. But shout out Tyler Shuck because that guy rocks. So all aboard him there. So for those matchups, if you advance to the next round, who are some of the players that helped get you there? We already talked about a couple, but we can actually start diving into those players that not only helped, or the players we talked about, the players that got you to week 16. Let's talk about those ones here that'll now help you to and through week 16. We're going to start at the quarterback position here. And Sharlene, I'm kicking it right over to you to talk about my guy that I just proclaimed as my guy, who might now be your guy too.
Yep, he's now my guy. Tyler Shuck, or as Jorge likes to say, show, because he refuses.
It's Shuck.
George refuses.
Exactly. Yes.
Or what was it? Yorga?
Yep.
Anyway, Tyler Shuck has been really consistent, like surprisingly consistent from a fantasy perspective. He's got 6+ rushing attempts in the last 4 games. I should probably start by saying this is not a pretty pickup. Like, nothing about Tyler Shuck says, oh yeah, I totally want to go get this guy. He's amazing. It feels gross. But when you look at the numbers and you look at the stats, it's not so gross. In fact, it looks pretty good. I mean, this week he got 24 points in half PPR, 24.08, I think. He threw for 272 yards. He got another touchdown to add to the list. He's got a 75% completion percentage, like on 32 attempts. So I mean, he's he's chucking the ball. There's always garbage time. You could definitely do worse than Tyler Shuck if you aren't in a bind at quarterback. I love him. I really like him, especially at this time of the season. Like, he is heating up at the right time.
Yeah, even his rushing is not bad either. You know, he's taken off when he can. You know, he's got 7 carries, 55 yards, 8 for 32, and the schedule looks nice against the Jets, Titans. And if you play a weird Week 18 fantasy championship, they get the Falcons that week. I mean, it's set up beautifully for him. I'm sorry, Colby, go ahead.
Nope, I was going to say the schedule. That was the big thing. Jets and Titans the next 2 weeks. You can't ask for 2 better matchups there. And if you do get Week 18, you get the Falcons too, and especially for those trying to get to the next week. Next game is at home too. He gets playing in the friendly confines of his home stadium there. So I have already proclaimed my love for Tyler Shuck.
And on top of that, I mean, like we were just saying, they've got a dire running back situation.
Mm-hmm.
Do any of y'all play? Do any of y'all play where there's Week 17 and a Week 18 where like that fantasy championships like one game and then you play again for the second game? I hate those, by the way. But any of y'all playing that? You ever heard of it?
I had one league that did that, and I can't remember if I'm still in that league.
It may not even be a thing anymore, but like the last couple of years, I play it. I'm like,
where you have to win twice.
Yes, you have to win twice to win, and it keeps your score from the prior week, and then you pick up where you. It happens every time. I'll win that first one, and then the guy will come back from like 30 or 40 and then beat me, and it happens every time. It's so frustrating.
I can't stand Week 18 stuff. It's always, I draft the players and then I go in and somehow the team I'm playing miraculously never has anybody from a team who's resting, and my team is just all players that are resting, and I can't do Week 18. But Kyle, talk to me about the second name or moniker, I should say, that I have at the bottom there for the quarterback 9. Talk to me about why he's an intriguing ad.
Yeah, Colby, I'm going to keep talking about J.J. McCarthy until I'm blue in the face. He's owned only 35% on Yahoo, 31% ESPN, and 26% on Sleeper. And I know, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse because every show I go on, I talk about J.J. McCarthy and been saying to pick him up now for 2 weeks now since before that Commanders game. And his ownership has climbed a bit, but whether you want to admit it or not, the kid is playing well for fantasy terms. You can make the argument that the yard totals have been undesirable, but against Dallas last night, man, you couldn't ask for more out of McCarthy. 250 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 1 pick, added a rushing touchdown on the ground with some flair, might I add, with the gritty on the way in. And he now has 6 total touchdowns, 1 interception since Kevin O'Connell simplified that offense for McCarthy. And you can poke fun at it. Everyone's kind of poking fun at it, but at the end of the day, he's got 7 starts under his belt. All the injuries he had to deal with, including the tearing of his meniscus, costing him his whole rookie season. I'm just glad to see him, get those reps in right now. And he's got back-to-back finishes as a quarterback one. Because I think people kind of are judging him a little bit unfairly under a half season as a starter. But I think there's he's showing a little bit of promise. I don't know about NFL promise, but at least in fantasy, J.J. McCarthy is, I don't know, can we call him Tim Tebow 2.0?
The gritty was definitely a bold move going into the end zone. For the season that he's had, that was a little bold move. But, hey, if he's going to be a source of memes for us moving forward with the whole weird locker room thing that he did, which was really, really weird. We don't need to delve into that. And then the gritty into the end zone, like, hey, I'm all for it. Like, we don't have – sorry, Kyle. We don't have Will Levis anymore. So we don't have the funny faces and the wild plays. So we need our new Will Levis. Hopefully McCarthy isn't that, and we get something a little bit more from him. But guess what you'll be getting, Kyle, for Christmas? It sounds like you are going to get a J.J. McCarthy jersey from George B. Edwards, who calls Tyler Shuck Tyler Show. So sounds like you'll be getting that to hang right there, right above the Will Levis jersey.
I will do it. Thank you.
You could be actually if you put them next to each other, like that whole 6-7
8,
thing,
9
thing now. You could start the whole 8-9 thing. It goes down though. Is that 6-7 is palms up? You can go down like you're dribbling basketballs. That'll be
that works.
That'll be that you'll be the creator of the 8-9.
I hope he's serious because that would be great. Yeah, I'll hang it up. All right.
Perfect. I would like to see that, and I'll give you one that feels kind of dirty as well. Kirk Cousins, he gets the Cardinals next, and they are injured. C.J. Stroud just completed over 75% of his passes with 3 touchdowns in that game that he threw. So you got to like Kirk Cousins there, despite the fact that he looks like I did a show with Keith Fleming, and he said Kirk Cousins is putting 110% to throw the ball 10 yards. So, and he looks like he is laboring. So Kirk Cousins is an intriguing play. And I will say this, and it kind of goes to this point here from Brandon, the Texans would drop 40 on the Cardinals. Teams are scoring on Arizona kind of at will, but Arizona puts up points as well. And in 9 Jacoby Brissett starts, only 2 of those games have gone below 50 points. It was 44 in week 9 and 37 in week 13. So points are scored in Arizona games. Do what you will with that. And Kirk Cousins is the next quarterback that will get to take advantage of that defense. Sharlene, you have another NFC South. You're staying in the division with your next waiver wire. Wire call.
This one was a little shocking. Bryce Young. I am surprised that he is not taken. I mean, he's available and he's widely available on every platform. Was 11% on ESPN, 18% on Yahoo, 21% on Sleeper. I mean, he is out there. And he's also heating up at the right time. He had 15 completions for 163 yards and a touchdown, 7 rush attempts for 49 yards. To your point about Cousins, the Panthers have the Bucs next, who just got lit up by Cousins. I mean, you could not ask for a better matchup right now. This is, especially the way that Bryce Young is playing. Like, this is a money pickup if he's available, and he should be. Since week 11, he's thrown 8 touchdowns. 8. And just 2 interceptions. He's got a QB passer rating since week 11 of 108.2. Like, it's go time. I like this. I like this more than Chuck. I trust him more than I trust Chuck. Like, they're both heating up at the same time. I trust him more than I trust Chuck.
And looking at it here too, so over the last 4 weeks, no team has allowed more fantasy points per game to quarterbacks than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for the season. They're at the 4th most, but Bryce Young's got a little bit of upside with his legs, like you had mentioned, and only the Giants and Eagles have allowed more rushing yards to quarterbacks than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, obviously pending Monday night, though I don't think Aaron Rodgers or Tua Tagovailoa is going to push their opponent up the boards all that much. Neither seems to run. So those are going to be the quarterbacks. And then if you are in a pinch, if you're in a dynasty league, anything like that, and you happen to lose Patrick Mahomes, or you're in the deepest of 15-team 2-quarterback leagues, there is one quarterback who has just stepped into a potential role. Sharlene, who is that guy?
Gardner Minshew. Don't we miss that name?
Minshew
Don't we miss talking about him? Yeah, this is, I mean, listen, I'm out already, but I was in a 32-team eliminator league. I'm in, 14-team leagues. If you are in dire straits and there are no QBs out there, this is a viable option. It's not a pretty option, but it's a viable option. And I mean, if we're looking at all the injuries this year and all the backup quarterbacks that are starting in the NFL right now, just add another one to the list. How bad can it be?
The only thing that would terrify me of doing that is with the Chiefs being eliminated now from playoff contention. I'm not saying that they would pull all their starters, but I mean, is there any point in playing Rashee Rice anymore with the way he's getting hit as of late? It's just a concern that I would have, like if they pull a card like that where most of the guys they're just gonna, or even just play a half, I'd be a little worried about, because the Chiefs have not been in this situation in 10 plus years, so I don't know what they're going to do, but it would just be slight concern.
They are probably reeling right now. But on the flip side of that, though, is who has Minshew been practicing with? Because it's not the first string guys. So
this is true.
He might have built up a little rapport with some of those backups that you're talking about. So, I mean, it could be Minshew Mania time. You never know.
Hey, if he's still rocking the mustache, I'm happy to see it.
You better grow that back quick if he's not.
So you're saying it's a Noah Gray week. That's what I just heard. It's the backup. He's been working with the backup tight end. That's who he's been working with. It's a Noah Gray week.
There you go.
There you go. I don't think he's in the show sheet for tight ends, but that's a ceremonial tip of the cap there to Noah Gray, who will be an honorary tight end waiver wire pickup in the deepest of leagues. But before we move over to running backs, quick check-in on the Monday night game. You haven't really missed much. The leading receiver in this game is Julian Hill. Achane's averaging 8 yards per carry on 3 attempts. And he's got 1 catch for -1 yards. And Kenny Gainwell, 7 yards through the air.
I really hope you're not needing something from this game or anything big, because my God, this is an awful game to have to root for if you need something.
That is true. My only thought on this game was that it was like, hey, think about this game. Like, who do you like? What do you like? The under. That's who I like. The under. No player. The under. That's what I like. No points to be scored. It's going to be. I don't know. Part of me is almost like rooting for Miami because I want to see Pitt go to 7-7. Miami gets to 7-7, and then the other part of me is like I almost would selfishly want Pittsburgh to keep winning because I don't want to see Baltimore in the playoffs. I don't want Lamar to sneak in because it just seems like everything goes wrong, but somehow Baltimore sneaks in. Excuse me. Baltimore sneaks in. Lamar comes back. It's MVP Lamar. The Ravens go on a run. That's just what it feels like. Like Pittsburgh can't go on a run. Even at their hottest, they can't.
He gets those few weeks to get better, whatever he's dealing with, injury-wise, and all of a sudden, the wild card game, he just looks like Lamar Jackson from 2 years ago. That's what you're concerned with.
I swear this has been the problem with Lamar all season, though. Because if it was any other quarterback on your team, at the very least, he would have been benched a long time ago.
Yep.
But because it's Lamar, it is so hard to sit him for anybody. Like, I finally was like, I can't do this anymore, and sat him for Brissett, and it was the best decision I have ever made in my life. But until I did it, it was the hardest decision I ever made in my life. Once I did it, it was fine. I felt great. No regrets. We're rolling with it. But, I mean, that's just so hard.
But Colby, I don't want to go too far off the rails here, but I think your Houston defense is I think defenses, are going to get you through the playoffs, and they've got one of the best that I can see in that are going to make the playoffs. They're going to probably surprise some people with that defense. They might win games like 17-10, but that's a defense that I respect.
I'm very interested to see my Houston faithful will know this very well. I am very interested to see Houston. I know they have like a 95% chance to get in, but they got to get there first.
Mm-hmm.
But I am very curious if the tradition holds of Houston getting the 4:30 game on Saturday. That's what I want to see. Do they move us out of the Saturday at 4:30, or is it doesn't matter? Houston's already pigeonholed Saturday at 4:30.
Because you guys always play that game, right?
Well, and to be fair, generally speaking, we usually are like the worst playoff team that's in there. Like, to be fair, like I understand why they put that game there, but like 2023, I kind of got it because we were also playing Cleveland, and that could have been like ugly. Like I get that. And last year against the Chargers, it was our offense just looked atrocious. So like can't put them in a big time game. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, but I do like the defense. Sometimes the defense is more fun to watch than the offense, if I must say so. But we'll talk about a Houston running back here in a little bit. But what do you all think about this comment here from George B. Edwards, who is up about 28 points in a PPR work league, but his boss has Achane and Waddle left. Note right now, Achane's at 3 for 25 and 1 for -1, and Waddle's got 1 for 10. So he's already in about 5.5 points. So 23 more points. What do you think George's chances to win are? Kyle, we'll start with you.
I think they're going to be pretty good.
Yes, to win, that he can hold on. Yes.
Yeah, I give that. I was thinking already that's probably a 75% chance. I'm curious what his thing says. See how close I am, George. Let me know. I'm going to say 75% chance.
Sharlene?
I think it's going to be tighter than that.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be closer to 50%. I think this is going to be really tight.
Okay.
But that depends on whether or not the game continues the way it is, or if Miami wakes up. So,
what about you, Colby? What do you think?
67%, 67%.
Of course.
I set him up for that, didn't I?
I was totally
You totally set him up for that.
Oh, no one said it is even greater. But one other thing too, I want to call it for week 18. Not that it matters for this, but going back to what I was saying about the Ravens, looking at all of these games, because they always flex the game. The Sunday night cap is like the one with like the biggest implications or the most to whatever. Like a couple years back, it was Houston, Indianapolis, because it was win you're in, lose you go home. That's basically what they're setting up. Looking at the week 18 slate, Panthers Bucks could potentially be a game that could get flexed in that night cap. But looking at it, really, Ravens Steelers is week 18.
Ooh.
That has to be the betting favorite to get flexed into Sunday Night Football for week 18. Because other than that, it's like Lions Bears could be interesting. Chargers Broncos could be very interesting. Seahawks Niners is also there. But to me, it's just like where we are at now going into week 16, Steelers Ravens feels like it's going to be Sunday Night Football in week 18.
Because the winner of that will probably be the one that wins the division and gets the playoff spot.
I know. The AFC North is doing the typical. The AFC North is doing the typical AFC South this year, where it's like, hey, you get one team and it's the 4 seed. You're not getting a second one in there, whereas like the AFC South this year is going to get 2 most likely. But the AFC North feels like the division winner gets in, the other one's probably not.
Yep.
So interesting times nonetheless. But we'll head into running backs here. Sharlene, let's kick it off to you for perfect segue. A Baltimore running back that people should know.
Right. I feel like this shouldn't be at the top of the ad list, but and I should preface this by saying he's probably unless you're going after handcuffs specifically, he's probably not worth picking up unless your league gives points for return yards. Because while he is getting some receiving work, he is not the true handcuff to Derrick Henry. But he does have a spot because of that receiving work, plus the kick returns. But the kick returns, that is the key. So if you get points for kick returns, then this is worth a target. This is worth a waiver ad. Yeah,
we've seen I briefly watched a little bit and I saw Rasheen Ali get more than Keaton Mitchell, if I'm not mistaken. I saw him in the game a little bit more than Mitchell.
I swear every time I looked up at the TV, it was Rasheen Ali, and I said, "Where's Derrick Henry? What's going on?" Yeah. So as a Derrick Henry owner, less than thrilled, but this is actually getting really interesting.
Yep. I like Rasheen Ali. Going to convince me on him, and depending what happens with Henry or Keaton Mitchell, he could step into a role. And if you do get the kick return yards, that's huge. Or just even at the very point, if he does happen to run one back, you still get those 6 points.
Right.
So you'll take that. I won't fault someone for taking someone who gets a player who the team gets the ball in his hands or tries to get him kind of going a little bit. So I'm for that, especially in deeper formats. And I mentioned it earlier, Arizona felt like every running back got hurt in that game against Houston. So the door could be open for a potential running back. Kyle, who could that be?
Yeah, I've got Michael Carter down here, but you know what? You could honestly probably even add Imari DeMarcado as well. But Michael Carter is only 5% owned in Yahoo, 9% on ESPN, and 26% on Sleeper. And the Cardinals, I mean, you mentioned it. They can't keep a running back healthy, Colby. I mean, they have just been snake bitten by injuries really across the board, but in particular at the running back position, man. I mean, let's go through this. James Conner, ankle. Trey Benson, knee. Now Bam Knight, who left on a cart. Is that a possible injury out for the season like the other two, Next up is Michael Carter and DeMarcado, and I think I like Carter just a little bit more because he's the every down back. And DeMarcado, to me, seems like more of the receiving back. But I must say, this backfield, guys, is really hard to figure out. I mean, when Benson went down back in week 4, these were the two backs, right? Then DeMarcado had that blunder where he dropped the ball short of the goal line against the Titans. Looked like they were going to give Michael Carter the full run, the full reins, as he finished that game with 18 carries for 51 yards and a touchdown. Then unexpectedly, what happened? They released him for no apparent reason, to bring somebody else up from the practice squad, but they released him outright. And then they later picked him back up. And then after Bam night, he goes down. He finishes with 100 scrimmage yards with 94 total, Michael Carter. So, I mean, he finishes a back-end RB2 for the week. So, like I said, it's really hard. This running back room is really hard to figure out. But right now, as we're heading in towards the end of the season, I feel like Michael Carter is the every down back, and he's the guy left. But you, like I said before, you could pick up DeMarcado as well if you wanted to, or if you like DeMarcado more because of the receptions, the PPR format. I understand that as well.
Yep, fair enough. And I'm gonna put both of you on the spot here because we have 3 of us, so it can't be a tie. So I'm curious, and it's kind of related to Mike Carter, but not as much. Charlie, I'm coming to you first. Is Jonathan Gannon the head coach week 1 for Arizona in 2026? Does he get the slip? Does he see the door? She says no.
I think he sees the door.
Kyle?
I was thinking the same thing. So we're tied. So that means you're going to have to – you agree, though, too, don't you? You asked this question because you probably feel the same.
Yeah, I think he's out. I'm giving it what is it? Is it Black Monday?
Yeah.
Is that what they call it, like
after the regular season?
Yeah.
You think he's gone then?
Ooh. Yes. Yep.
And then I was going to ask you, Colby,
he's the second one. He will be the second. Well, he will be the second coach that we get the reports on that is canned. He's number 2.
Oh, he's not number 1. Who's number 1 in your mind?
I will go a little off the cuff, and I think it's going to be Stefanski.
Okay.
Or McDaniel.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I don't know if they should, though. I don't know. Part of me is just like I want them to be fired so he can come be the offensive coordinator in Houston. But I don't know. Maybe Gannon might be first.
So, well, here's a question though. Do you think it's just Gannon? Because I feel like the offense is not an issue with the Cardinals. It's their defense, because the offense is putting up points like nobody's business. But that defense, man, like they just can't throw up enough points to keep up with the defense and all the points they're letting in.
Yeah, the only thing would be is depending on who they bring in, is that person going to want their own guy, or do they like try to get Kubiak from Seattle and basically make him the head coach, and then he also calls plays and basically make it a 2-for-1. I don't think the offensive coordinator has been a heck of a lot better this year than last year, but
yeah,
maybe I'm not going to say anything, but maybe it was a Kyler Murray thing all along. I'm not going to say it. That's not me saying it. I'm just asking the question.
Well, that was the next one. Will Kyler Murray stay in Arizona with the new head coach? No, he's gone.
He's gone.
No chance.
Okay, is Kyler Murray still a Cardinal by the first pick of the NFL draft?
If he's gone, I don't think so. I think they make that move immediately.
Yeah, I do too. I don't think they wait around. Yep. Okay. Well, that's fun. Maybe the last waiver wire show of the year, we're just going to go by all 32 teams, and we'll say yay or nay if the coach is there for week 1 of 2026, even the ones that we know. Say yay or nay, and then we'll do like one surprise. We'll like each take a team and throw like a surprise one and just see what happens.
That'd be fun.
All right, write that down. Remember that, chat. Come back to us later. Make sure you tell us that, because I'm going to forget that probably by tomorrow. But that's a good idea for the end there. But that's the running back. Oh, no, those are the main running backs. And then we have a couple kind of more upside stashes. And I'll go back to an earlier comment from Brandon, who was at the game. They said Woody Marks because he wouldn't see many snaps, and Jordan took over the game, and that he did. I could very well see Houston trying to get past Vegas without having to play Woody Marks and Nick Chubb in week 16. Get the win without them. They got, I'm going to make an exaggeration, they got George Jordan off the streets, put him out there for his NFL debut. They obviously drafted him, and then he's been on the practice squad and stuff. But Woody Marks is beat up. Nick Chubb is dealing with a rib issue. They should be able to handle the Raiders without them. And Jordan looked really good in week 15. Now, how much of that is a product of Jordan being a pretty good player, or the fact that Arizona is one of the worst run defenses in the league? I think I'd be remiss if I didn't say that. But one thing that's very interesting coming into Monday Night Football here for week 15, Jawar Jordan had nearly 7 yards per carry in that game against Arizona. And of running backs with at least 10 carries, he had the highest missed tackles forced per attempt and the most yards after contact per attempt, again, amongst running backs with at least 10 carries leading up to Monday Night Football in week 15. Again, how much is Jordan? How much is the soft Arizona run defense? I think we can have that question. But at the very least, if there's no Woody Marks, we've seen that they will not give Dare Ogunbowale the lead role. He'll handle third downs. Jawar Jordan could be really interesting in what could be a very good matchup game script wise for the Houston running attack. So keep an eye on Jawar Jordan.
Yeah, he took that one. I saw one where he took like a nice explosive carry there. What did he go for? Like
50.
50. Yeah.
Yep. Couldn't score, but it was a good run. Nice little cutback on his own, flashed a little speed. So yeah, that was certainly nice. So Jawar Jordan, keep an eye out for him. And then Sharlene, you have one more. It's a player that on a couple of other sites that I write for, I have trashed on one or two occasions. But hey,
rightfully so.
Yeah,
rightfully
I will
so.
stand by it. I was validated to do it and was correct.
Yes.
But he had a good week 15.
He did. So we're talking about Bill Krosky. I didn't want to put him on here, but I kind of felt like I had to. He finishes the RB11 this week or last week. 18 carries for 98 yards and a touchdown. He went 5.33 yards per carry. Like, that's decent. I feel like all the people that were all about Bill Krosky Merritt in the offseason that got burned by Bill Krosky Merritt during this entire season. This is what we were all hoping to see. And here it is.
We hope.
So
don't be careful. Don't get suckered in.
If Chris Rodriguez can't go in week 16, I kind of like this. And I mean, you've got to really be willing to risk it for the biscuit, right? I mean, how many times are you going to get burned and still, unless it's Lamar or JJ, like how many times are you going to get burned and still throw him in your lineup? But
I think the people that will take the plunge and take the chance will be the ones that have not been burned by Bill Krosky Merritt. It'll be somebody that never had an opportunity
somebody new
to see what he's like, and then they're going to experience it, and then we could all.
Yeah. But I mean, this is only if Rodriguez is out. If he's in, forget it. Like that whole backfield's a hot mess, and I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole.
That's fair.
Yeah, and Jaden Daniels isn't going to play any of the final remaining games. So it's going to be Marcus Mariota for Washington, so expect a lot of runs. And if you are in the camp, bear with me here, if you believe that the Eagles believe that they can beat the Commanders handedly, could they hold out Jalen Carter another week and try to let him get a little bit healthier because they have the Cowboys after that, or the Commanders have the Cowboys after that, depending on what the Eagles' schedule is. I know they have a game against the Chargers or the Bills, I believe it is. That game's coming up, so they're probably going to want to win that one. But if the Eagles are like, hey, can we sneak one more week to get Jalen Carter healthy and Chris Rodriguez is out? We've seen that Philly run defense has been a little vulnerable without Jalen Carter, and you could have Bill as the lead back going up against that in what should be a run-heavy offense with Marcus Mariota. So, or Mariota, as Chris Collinsworth kept alluding to the entire
game. Get
game.
me started on that.
Don't get me started on him from that Texans Chief game. Oh my goodness! Like it was a handoff to the running back, and like they were like that handoff was Mahomes-esque. We don't have to get into it. He tore his ACL. We don't have to talk about it. But, hopefully he is okay there. But, oh, goodness. Those are running back. Let me do a quick check-in on the game. Still 0-0 as we all expected, probably, with a couple minutes here into the second quarter. Aaron Rodgers, 6 of 7 for 40 yards. DK Metcalf is the leader in yards. But Kenny Gainwell is the only Steeler with more than one target and more than one reception because, obviously. And Jalen Warren has 4 carries for 16 yards. And then on the Dolphins side, Tua did throw an interception. Julian Hill still leads the way with 1 for 20, and Achane's got 5 for 33 on the ground with a long run of 15 yards. For any of you folks out there that like to do longest rushes and longest receptions like I like to dabble in every now and again. So we'll check back in probably 10 or so minutes on this game. It'll probably still be 0-0, but you never know. We'll see. That's my not so bold take for this game thus far. So let's move over to the wide receiver position. And Kyle, you're going to kick us off with a favorite guy of mine who is finally blossoming, although for some of my fantasy teams, it took a little bit too long.
Yeah, Colby, and I know we've talked. I think you guys have talked about Luther Burden even last week and the week before when I wasn't on the show, but now it's my turn to talk about Luther Burden, so I'm excited as well. He should not be available like he is with Rome Odunze dealing with that foot injury. He's widely available in Yahoo. Still, 17% in Yahoo, 15% on ESPN, and 34% on Sleeper. With Rome Odunze missing the last 2 games, Burden has stepped up nicely in his replacement. He's led the team in targets, catches, and yards. I know he hasn't scored a touchdown, but the metrics are there. Despite running 7 routes fewer in this span to Alameda Zacchaeus, they get the rematch with Green Bay next week, where last time Burden went 4 for 67 on 6 targets with the team leading 33.3% first read share. So that's nice to know. He should do better in this game, I think, in my opinion, with another full game under his belt. The Packers play the 3rd most zone defense at an almost 80% rate. And Luther Burden does well against zone, man. He's 2.92 yards per route run against zone. And I know it's sort of a smaller sample size as he's only ran 139 routes versus the zone. But the point is he's been productive when he's been on the field, and he's going to be on the field now for this game. And when he gets single high looks, he feasts even more. And the Packers, they throw some of that out there as well, roughly 48% of the time that they're in single high. I think Caleb Williams will take those deep shots every time they can with the speedster and Luther Burden. So when they take those couple deep shots, he might connect on 1 or 2 of those. And I do think next week, Luther Burden is flex worthy to get you to that championship game.
I like that. And speaking of another guy who can kill single high coverage, that is Adonai Mitchell, who's the next receiver we're going to talk about here. And we talked about Tyler Shuck going against the Jets, but we get Mitchell against the Saints. The Saints play a ton of single high looks, and Mitchell is great against that. If you really want to break these Jets receivers down into buckets and basically generalize them against teams that play a bunch of single high, you want Adonai Mitchell. Teams that play a bunch of 2 high to try to eliminate the big play, that's where you go John Mechie. It's very simple between these two, regardless of who's under quarterback, whether it's Justin Fields, Tyrod Taylor, Brady Cook, or Kyle Zeigler, whoever it is. It's one of those 2 options, whether it's single high or double high. That's what you need. And I can't stand that Mitchell's only caught 18 of his 40 targets since coming to the Jets, but I love the fact that it's 13.1 yards per reception. So when he's making plays, it's generally, or when he's catching the ball, it's generally been for pretty big gains. And again, when he's playing teams that play a bunch of single high coverage, that is the week to start Adonai Mitchell, and week 16 is one of those weeks.
So, yeah, to your point, Colby, on AD Mitchell, I mean, with Garrett Wilson out, they really have no one else to catch the football there in New York. The Jets wanted him too, in that Sauce Gardner trade. They traded for him, so they plan on using him. And it shows since week 11. I mean, AD Mitchell leads the team in target share percentage. He's getting 8 targets per game. We say it all the time, Colby and Sharlene. We say it all the time that volume is king. Well, he's getting the volume there in New York as with Garrett Wilson out. So, I like that.
Yeah, and it turns out his hands do work.
They do. He just has to figure out how to use them.
He just needed to go to the media hotbed that is New York. He needed to get away from the friendly confines of Indianapolis and get to the media hotbed of New York.
Well, dare I say he needed Brady Cook?
All the quarterback carousel in Indianapolis couldn't unlock Adonai Mitchell. But the triumvirate of Brady Cook, Tyrod Taylor, and Justin Fields was exactly what the doctor ordered for A.D. Mitchell. Unbelievable. I'll give you another one here. Darius Slayton over his last 3, 9.1 expected fantasy points per game and a 16.7 ADOT. As long as Jackson Dart just doesn't keep running his head into walls head first and he can just stay on the field, I really like the matchup for Slayton. He's got the Vikings and the Raiders are his next 2 matchups, and that is incredibly profitable for a wide receiver who runs the majority of his routes on the perimeter. So like Darius Slayton a lot. And then my love for Tyler Shuck just knows no bounds. So Devon Villay, he's the guy catching the ball. He's averaging 4.8 receptions and just under 60 yards per game over his last 4. The Jets stink. Tyler Shuck rocks and the Jets stink. So that's why you should look at Devon Villay. So those are 2 I have my eye on. And then Sharlene, you have a deep league dart for some of those players out there in deeper formats. And if you really want the wide receiver 1 for Minnesota and it's not Justin Jefferson, who are folks looking at?
So I've got Jalen Naylor. He had 3 receptions for 37 yards and 2 touchdowns last week. Now, there hasn't been a lot of consistency in Minnesota, but I think a lot of that is also in part to 9. Because when 9 is out there, it hasn't been all that great. I think maybe we just saw JJ McCarthy out there the last couple games.
There it is.
and that's who we'd rather have out on the field. 9 was not cutting it, was not getting the job done. Over the last 3 games, Naylor's target share has been definitely trending in the right direction. In week 13, only 3.3% of target share. Week 14, 13%. Now week 15, he's at 20.8%. So everything is trending in the right direction. JJ McCarthy is finally looking good, which should boost the entire offense as a whole, unless your name is Justin Jefferson. Sorry. So yeah, I mean, it's still a deep dart, but I like the direction that this is trending with Naylor.
Yeah, I'll never understand why he overthrows Justin Jefferson, but then everyone else he can get the ball to.
It's wild, right?
Does he just believe this guy really is Superman? He could just throw it up to where nobody can get it.
I mean, right. I'm watching this game and he is throwing darts to everybody. And then he goes to throw a ball to Justin Jefferson and it sails like 10 feet high. And
now,
I'm like, dude.
In fairness, Justin Jefferson sees a lot of double coverage. So maybe that's what he's doing. Like he's just throwing it up there so it doesn't get picked. But yeah, the memes are just funny. The way that they're out there just out throwing Justin Jefferson to where he can't catch it is hilarious. But then he could throw it to, Naylor and it goes for 6.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. I'm looking at here in the McCarthy starts. I'm trying to pull this up relatively quick. So JD McCarthy weeks 1 and 2 and then 9 on. I'm curious his passer rating when targeting literally anybody not named Justin Jefferson, because that's going to be okay. Weeks 1 and 2 and then 9 through 15. Okay, we got that pulled up. That's perfect. And then I want Minnesota. All right, here we go. JJ McCarthy starts looking at it here. Oh, holy crap. Okay, so first and foremost, just a 49% reception percentage for Justin Jefferson, whereas Naylor's at 63. Looking at it here, I'm building up suspense. They continue to play in there. Yards per route run, Naylor's higher than Justin Jefferson. ADOT, Naylor's higher than Justin Jefferson. Jalen Naylor's a lower drop percentage than Justin Jefferson. McCarthy has 7 interceptions when targeting Justin Jefferson, only 3 to Jalen Naylor. Okay, passer rating.
Trying it so high.
Here we go. Passer rating when targeting. This is JJ McCarthy. He has a 103 when targeting TJ Hawkinson. He has a 70.6 when targeting Jordan Addison. A 104.7 with Jalen Naylor. Is 38.6 what it is if he just snapped the ball or like spiked it?
39.
39.
30. I forget. It's 39.6 or something like that.
So he has a 40.
But it's 39. Yeah.
Oh my God.
40.0 when targeting Justin Jefferson.
So yeah, I was right about there.
I can post a 39.6. That's pretty easy.
Yeah, you spike it.
Yeah,
every
right.
single time.
Spike it
And
every
I don't
play.
get hit. And I don't get hit. And I'm set up for the future.
And you still collect the paycheck.
You're darn right I do. That is what I'm looking for. So interesting. Man, it's so bad. I don't know. Okay, here we go. Fun week 1, 2026 question time. Is 9 the starting quarterback in week 1 for the Minnesota Vikings? Kyle?
I say yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so.
I say yes.
Okay.
I said it earlier, he still only has 7 starts under his belt. They got to really see what they have him. And really the 2026 class for quarterbacks is not really there. It's not where it's at.
Right.
The 2027 class is where, so maybe JJ McCarthy, ironically, is the bridge quarterback. Who knows?
It could be. I mean, if they were going to take a quarterback in 2026, like, it's too late. They should have been tanking a long time ago.
And it also, like, in fairness, it gives them an opportunity. They get a whole year with him to see, okay, can we go with this kid? We made the playoffs with him, maybe build on that or whatever. So it gives them that long window.
That's exactly what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, fair enough. And there is some breaking news on the fantasy and frames front. The IDP waiver wire article for week 16 is live. So make sure, as well as like and subscribe the stream that we got here. Make sure you head over to fantasyandframes.com. Check out the IDP waiver wire article, as well as all the other great content that is over there. Be sure that you are checking out everything there. And of course, whoever is over at Fantasy and Frames, you find their account on X, you give them a follow. So before we go into tight ends, I did promise that we would update on the game. I was correct. It is still 0-0.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's all that really is to be said about that. Achane 6 for 37. Kenny Gainwell is still the only Steeler. Actually, I'll take that back. Kenny Gainwell is the only player with more than 1 reception in this game. Everyone else is at 0 or 1. You got Kenny Gainwell with 3. So that's where we're at in this game.
Tua has a quarterback rating of 32.1.
That's worse than 9 throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, he threw a pick in the game with no touchdowns and has 37 yards. He's 4 of 7 to us. I really hope you're not relying on a Tua game. That's for sure.
That is for sure. But we have some tight ends that we have to talk about here. Sharlene, you got the first one here, and you have the touchdown machine, or the one who makes it look like he got in, even though I don't know if he actually did. So talk about Colby Conway.
Nice pull.
Hey, tomato.
Yeah. No one knows
Parkinson.
anyway. It doesn't even matter. Everyone's guessing.
It's fine. Colby Parkinson. I have probably been more excited than I should be about him. But nevertheless, he is owned about 10.5% on ESPN, 4% on Yahoo, 41% on Sleeper. So he is available in most leagues, unless you're on Sleeper. That might be hit or miss. This week, he had 5 receptions on 7 targets for 75 yards and a touchdown. In his last 6 games, he has scored a touchdown in all but 1 game. I sat him in a couple leagues this week for Isaiah Likely.
Ouch.
Yeah, after being super excited about Colby Parkinson last week and saying, "Yeah, go pick him up. If you need a high ceiling, this is your guy." I mean, and I know that we call him a touchdown dependent tight end, but he's a touchdown dependent tight end where you can actually depend on him getting a touchdown, which is very rare.
You can book it on Charlene's bank.
I am telling you, book it.
All right.
He's had at least 4 targets per game. He's got 10 targets inside the 20 since week 12. Adams only has 8. Puka only has 3. He's got a 15% target share. Adams has a 20% target share. Now, we already talked about Adams. He's I mean 99% sure he's not playing this week, right? 99.9% sure he's not playing this week. So this could be a really good opportunity for Colby in week 16. And they get Seattle. And yeah.
That's the key part, because if you actually look for the year, the Bengals are in a stratosphere of their own. Just don't even care about the Bengals. But in terms of after that, Seattle's allowed the most yards, 2 tight ends on the season, and overall fantasy points wise for the season, they've allowed the 6th most fantasy points to tight ends, and no Devontae Adams. Colby Parkinson could be the Devontae Adams in the red zone now, sans Devontae Adams. Yeah. There's a rapport there. For some reason, once they get inside like the 20, it's like Puka's not allowed to get the ball anymore. It's right. Very weird.
Right.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like outside the 20s, or maybe even like 10. From like 10 to 10, it's Puka. And then it's Devontae Adams. It's just nobody else. It's like it's really weird. It's like they don't want Puka to score touchdowns. They're trying to keep his contract value down for that massive deal they're going to give him this offseason, but it don't matter. He's getting paid. So yeah. I like that one. I like Colby Parkinson a lot. I'll give you 2 maybe potentially less exciting tight ends, but versus Dalton Schultz. In the 3 games since CJ Stroud has returned, he's averaging 6 receptions, 7 targets, and 51 yards per game. And he gets the Raiders next that we just saw Dallas Goedert of all tight ends shred for 70 yards and 2 touchdowns. So Schultz is flirting with that 50% line that we like to look at, or 50% ownership rate that we like to look at here for the show, and he was under it in all of those. So look to Dalton Schultz. CJ Stroud clearly trusts him. So Dalton Schultz is a guy to look at. And then I'm going back to the Giants. Please stay healthy, Jackson Dart, but it's Theo Johnson. He had a 2.4 yards per route run in week 15 with an A-dot pushing 10. And then in his last 5 games, 11.2 A-dot, 17.8% target share, just under 60 yards per game, and 2.04 yards per route run. So numbers under the hood look good. The box score numbers look good. So Theo Johnson's another guy that you can look at as well. Kyle, if you don't have a thing for the Titans, you must have a thing for the Bears, because we have another Bears pass catcher in here. So talk to me about Colston Loveland.
Yeah, maybe it's because maybe I got to root for a team that's actually going to make the playoffs, and why not root for a team in the NFC, right? Colston Loveland, is another Bears pass catcher that I want to add if I need a tight end here. I know he's close to that threshold that we always talk about, taking a look, what is it? Rostered 40% in Yahoo, 40% in ESPN, and on Sleeper, he is up there at 53%. I talked about Rome Odunze's injury and how Luther Burden has led this team in targets, catches, and yards. But Colston Loveland is actually second on the team in these categories since he went down. And the last 4 games among all tight ends, Loveland is 12th in targets, 13th in yards, and 6th in air yards, averaging 10.9 PPR fantasy points per game. I get that the Packers next week aren't the easiest defense against tight ends. They allow the 12th fewest fantasy points, but Loveland did score against them when they played just 2 weeks ago. But after that Green Bay, it gets a little bit easier for him against the 49ers. Sorry, Sharlene. But like I said, take a look. There's a 50-50 shot that he's sitting there on your waiver wire, that he's available, and you could certainly do worse at the tight end position, because Loveland's on the field now running like 59% of the routes. So I do like Colston Loveland going forward. I think you're on mute there, Colby. Check your
good call. Good call. Good call. It always happens once an episode. But good call with Loveland too. You look, as of right now, he's tight end 13 for the week, but he was week 9 before that, and then he had a 28 in there, but tight end 3 before. He had another tight end 2 in there, so a lot to like with Colston Loveland. And again, especially with an offense like that wants to be run heavy, if there's going to be a pass catcher missing, that really helps some of those other guys. So I like Luther Burden. I like Colston Loveland. So those are the tight ends that we got. And then before we wrap this up and give our priority ads of the week to set you off for the rest of this game that's happening right now.
It's an exciting game that we're going to jump to go get to.
Well, I am going to jump in because it is no longer 0-0.
Oh.
Points have been scored.
Okay.
And it was a 54-yard field goal is what had to do it. So it's 3-0.
Of course it was.
3-0. 3-0 Dolphins.
You actually had me excited there for a second.
Yeah, well, you should.
Nicely done.
That's on you. That was a you thing. I told you I like the under. Field goals, low scoring. If any of y'all did a no touchdown bet in this game, I am pulling for you hard. I will say it that. So that's what we got there. But Riley Patterson hit the field goal, 2 of 61 and a pick. Achane's got 42 on the ground, 23 through the air. and DK Metcalf's leading the way with 1 catch for 22 yards on the Pittsburgh side. Rodgers is 8 of 9, but for 57 yards. So do with that what you will. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's give our priority ad of the week. Sharlene, I'll kick it over to you. All the names you mentioned, or maybe someone just popped up in your head, who's the one person that we're focusing on for that this week?
Well, since it's the last person I talked about, Colby Parkinson. I already said I was super excited about him last week. And then in one of my leagues, for some reason, I didn't start him. And I'm going to regret that for a while now. But yeah, he is my ad of the week this week.
Kyle?
So for me, I usually try to prioritize the running back position, but this week I just don't see anyone really useful for the running back spot, unless Blake Corum is still out there. Take a look there. He's a quick look. He's like 40 to 50% available. So he might still be there. But if not, I got to go with my boy, JJ McCarthy, though. In my opinion, he's one of the best ads you can make with his upcoming schedule if you are in need of a quarterback. He's got the Giants, who offer the 4th most fantasy points to quarterbacks, and then Detroit, who give up the 5th most. So if you need a quarterback, let's keep it rolling right now. Continue to ride number 9.
What a ride that will be. But good luck. I'm there with you. I'm pulling for you there, but I'm agreeing with Sharlene. I'm going Colby Parkinson. He's been a tight end 1 5 of the last 6 weeks. There's a really good spot there. I am very curious when I start setting lineups, what players this week I will be benching for the likes of Colby Parkinson on Thursday night, just to sit there Friday and Saturday and look at my lineup. Am I going to see 15, or am I stuck with a 7.2 there for the whole week? But I like Colby Parkinson a lot. Stafford trusts him, and once again, he's been a top 12 tight end 5 of the last 6 weeks. Can't put a price on that until you have to.
Those are really good points, though. Those are really good points with Colby Parkinson. So yeah, I like it.
Yep, we're rocking and rolling there. So again, 3-0. Pittsburgh's actually driving a little bit. Have the ball at the Miami 47. I'm going to call that driving, just based on everything with this game. So once again, I'm going to bring up that comment from Fantasy and Frames. Again, the IDP waiver wire article is live. Make sure you go check it out. If you're in your IDP leagues, you need help looking to pick up, you need those tackles, interceptions, whatever it is you need, make sure you check out that. And of course, while you're at fantasyandframes.com, check out all of the other great content that's there. Check out all the streams that we have throughout the week. Plenty of great content and insightful analysis and opinions coming from all of our streams. So make sure you check that out. And for the 3 of us on here, let's go ahead and break it down here. So Kyle, let them know what you got coming out, any content wise, where they can find you on X, anything you want. The floor is yours, Mr. McCarthy.
Yeah, check us out. 4th and Frames, Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, over on the 4th and Frames channel. We'll do our smash and our pass plays for the next week. So check us out there, and you can find me on X at KZ1180.
Sharlene?
You can find me on X at Chalbella1981 or Sweating Glitter 24/7, pretty much everywhere else.
Okay.
There you have it. I'm Colby Conway at Colby R. Conway over on X. Check me out there. Some stuff that I got going on, but otherwise you'll just get a lot of talk about the Houston Texans. That's what I can give you. That's what I know best, the AFC South. So make sure, check all that out. And one last time, like and subscribe to YouTube here. We would love for you to do that. And of course, head on over to Fantasy and Frames. Check out all of the great content. If you need a miracle from this game, I sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, wish you the absolute best. Because if you're on the end of needing points, you might want to, I don't know, you're going to have to figure something out. And if you're at the point where you're hoping the person against you doesn't do anything, you might be in a pretty good spot. So I wish you the best. And then, of course, as we go through the fantasy football playoffs, best of luck with your teams. Any questions that you have, join any stream that we have. I know there's the Sunday show, so get your lineup questions answered right before kickoff. Again, like and subscribe to the stream. Best of luck with all of your matchups, and we will catch you next week with the next Waiver Wire Watch Party.